She joins us now, sharing her story. Natania, thank you so much for being with us. I can't imagine what you've been through since 1999, and then all the emotions that must be coming up over the last couple of days.
I can tell you that immediately, the moment she opened her mouth, you could see that Combs was listening intently to everything that she has to say, as well as those jurors.
After Jennifer Lopez was dragged into the Diddy lawsuit over allegedly being the gun mule in a 1999 nightclub shooting where Diddy and J-Lo allegedly made a rapper named Shine take the fall and spend 10 years in prison for them, people have started digging into her past and it raises some questions.
I don't know if he was present with that, but I know he had been hanging around with him in London, in Paris, different places.
Law enforcement sources are expecting the feds to widen the Diddy probe to include previous criminal investigations. Now, we know Diddy was criminally investigated regarding that shooting in New York, but I didn't realize the extent of J-Lo's involvement.
Few things are getting dangerously hot for Jenny from the block, and not in a glamorous way. Jennifer Lopez might not have just been Diddy's ex. According to serious allegations and some jaw-dropping testimony from Cassie Ventura, she may have played a far more involved role. We're talking about lies, hidden truths, smuggled weapons, and now, a possible flight from the spotlight. J-Lo has been suspiciously absent ever since Diddy's legal nightmare began, and we might finally understand the reason. Cassie recently took the stand in tears, claiming Diddy once forced her to carry a loaded gun in public. She says he turned her into a pawn in his dangerous game. But here's where the story turns truly disturbing. This might not have been a one-time incident. Cassie's revelation could point to something Lopez allegedly did years earlier, helping Diddy cover up a crime that led to an innocent man doing time. So if Diddy goes down, guess who might be dragged with him? Yep, J-Lo. Strap in, because this tale is pure chaos. As many know, Diddy and Cassie shared a long, emotionally fraught relationship. In her recent testimony, she described how he once handed her a loaded pistol before entering a Los Angeles nightclub. Her voice cracked as she recounted the event, crying through the trauma on the stand, the pain in that courtroom. You could feel it, but the rabbit hole goes even deeper. According to a complaint from Rodney Lil Rod Jones, J-Lo allegedly smuggled a revolver into a New York City nightclub back in 1999 on Diddy's orders. That same night, 3 people were shot. One of them, Natania Reuben, was hit in the face. Sure, it gives ride or die vibes, but this is more like ride or catch a felony. Let's call it what it is, a pattern. Diddy seems to have a history of using the women around him as weapons couriers. And if this is true, J-Lo's not just a bystander. This looks like full-on participation, not some innocent case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
As we talked about it in the first part, there seems to be some misinformation or misunderstanding of what really went down in that trial, what was said, what people were blamed for and what they were not. I'd love to hear your perspective and specifically kind of what you wish people understood about that trial that maybe they don't at this time.
I mean, even from the very day that the thing took place, because if you notice their mugshots, only Shine truly has a mugshot. Puffy and J-Lo, Puffy's in front of a concrete wall, J-Lo is in front of a bulletin board in some old t-shirts. Now, I want everyone to think that was the night of the shooting. You don't think at Christmas time, Puffy and J-Lo went out in some old raggedy t-shirts, right? No, there was already an agenda afoot to conceal what they had on, to try to sway the minds of people, to throw your memory off, but they couldn't throw my memory off.
Here's where things get even messier. J-Lo allegedly fingered Shine Barrow as the shooter that night, based on testimony from Diddy's own driver. If true, she didn't just smuggle the weapon. She may have helped Diddy pin the blame on Shine, who ended up serving serious time for a crime he may not have committed. Shine's been vocal for years, calling Diddy a traitor who set him up. And Gene Deal, the former head of Bad Boy Security, backed that up, claiming Diddy outright said he hated Shine. So the idea of a setup, it's not just possible, it's chillingly believable.
That's real talk. But I gotta ask you, right? I seen a trailer for a Shine documentary that you went on. How did that come about, you being in that documentary? Well, I was there doing that whole trial with Shine and Puff. Puff said, "I hate that motherfucker, Blake." He told me that. And that's when they was on trial with each other.
We already know Shine got the short end of the stick, but it gets even darker. Diddy allegedly handpicked the witnesses for that 1999 trial, stacking the deck in his favor. And according to multiple insiders, J-Lo wasn't just standing by, she was allegedly part of the operation. Behind the scenes, they're said to have coached witnesses to deliver rehearsed testimony. And the most jaw-dropping claim, they allegedly bought off jurors to seal Shine's fate.
Anybody that was there, I know this young lady said Puff did the shooting. What I was told,
by Wolf himself. And he spoke very little about it because he had mad love for Sean.
Diddy and J-Lo walked away from the chaos like nothing ever happened. Soon after, Diddy dropped her like a pawn no longer needed, just another move in his game. But let's be real, both of them walked away with what they wanted, clean slates and personal freedom, leaving the fallout behind.
I don't know if he was present with that, but I know he had been hanging around with him in London, in Paris, different places.
You might be wondering, why didn't J-Lo testify during all this chaos? After all, she was there when the shooting went down, right? Well, buckle up, because according to industry whistleblower Jaguar Wright, J-Lo and Diddy secretly tied the knot around that time in 1999. And no, it wasn't some fairy tale romance. Jaguar claims it was all strategy. Here's the twist. If J-Lo was legally Diddy's wife, she couldn't be forced to testify against him in court. It's a classic Hollywood move, using marriage as a shield. Thanks to that legal loophole, Diddy kept his secrets under lock and key, and J-Lo stayed far from the witness stand, untouched and untangled.
Sean caused a lot of that stuff himself. And Puff said, I hate that motherfucker. Blatant. He told me that. And that's when they was on trial with each other.
Wow, you never told me about that, man. You seen how Flex, he came out calling Sean a liar?
Well, I think Funkmaster Flex has every right to say what he said because he know a little bit more than most.
While the marriage between J-Lo and Diddy has never been officially confirmed, Jaguar Wright insists the ceremony did happen, and the claims don't stop there. Reports suggest that J-Lo even attended some of Diddy's infamous freak-off parties. One disturbing complaint alleges that a well-known female celebrity witnessed a 13-year-old being coerced into one of these events. Now, to be clear, we're not saying that J-Lo was that celebrity, but let's be honest, the streets are talking. What's harder to ignore is the pattern. J-Lo's name keeps surfacing, whether in court filings, lawsuits, or long-buried witness accounts. And here's the most chilling part, it doesn't stop there. That 13-year-old, sadly that 13-year-old wasn't the only alleged victim. Another woman, Misha, has stepped forward with a deeply disturbing story of her own. According to Misha, J-Lo wasn't just in the same building. She was front and center, present as Diddy allegedly subjected her to horrifying abuse during one of his infamous freak-off parties. Misha recalls locking eyes with J-Lo in a silent, desperate plea for help, but what did she get in return? Nothing, not a word, not a gesture, just a cold, vacant stare, like she wasn't even there.
I remember he did what he did to me, and then it was time for Jennifer Lopez. She was there with a guy, and he was standing there looking disgusted, but didn't nobody save me. She stuck that glass in me, and after that, my eyes were booked the whole time.
If Misha's account is true, then J-Lo has a whole lot of explaining to do, because standing by and watching something like that unfold is damning. And if you think it couldn't possibly get messier, buckle up, because this isn't J-Lo's first brush with controversy tied to these dark circles. Years ago, her ex-husband, Ojani Noah, dropped some explosive claims of his own. Ojani alleged that J-Lo wasn't just a passive attendee at these twisted gatherings, she was deeply involved. He even suggested she should be questioned about those infamous S-tapes linked to Diddy and his inner circle, the ones always whispered about in connection with hidden cameras and baby oil. And he didn't sugarcoat it either. According to him, the J-Lo we see on red carpets is a carefully crafted illusion. Behind closed doors, she's someone entirely different. Ojani was blunt. He claimed J-Lo knew exactly what went down at those parties and didn't seem to care. Sure, exes sometimes talk out of turn, but this isn't your usual bitter rant over a breakup. When you stack Ojani's explosive claims alongside Misha's harrowing story, Cassie's emotional testimony, and the mounting lawsuits, the picture starts to shift. J-Lo no longer looks like an innocent bystander. And here's the kicker. As part of a broader federal probe into Diddy, 2 law enforcement insiders told the New York Post in 2024 that the 1999 nightclub shooting case might be reopened. If that happens and J-Lo's name comes up, things could get even more complicated for her. If the case moves forward, J-Lo could also find herself facing a trial, and social media is already buzzing. No surprise there. One user summed it up best. Despite her vocal talent, Jennifer Lopez never quite reached the level of fame you'd expect. Now, people are starting to wonder if the real reason behind her rise was something far darker. And just when you think it can't get more tangled, here's the twist. Suey claimed in an interview that distance and disagreements weren't the only reasons behind J-Lo and Ben Affleck's breakup. Nope, he says that during one of those infamous freak-off parties, the feds played a tape for Ben, a tape of J-Lo and Diddy. Imagine Ben sitting down, expecting evidence for a case, only to see his newly rekindled wife allegedly involved in Diddy's twisted private gatherings. According to reports, after that, Ben couldn't look at J-Lo the same way anymore. Honestly, can you blame him? Let's be real.
He on news team. Did y'all hear about what's his name? Suge Knight. He said, baby, he think the reason why Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck broke up because he feels that they had some tapes at Diddy's mansion that showing her in a compromising position, and that the FBI allegedly may have sent those tapes to Ben Affleck. You know, Ben Affleck is a white man in America, and he's a very prominent man. They say he's a darling, which means people love him.
This isn't some decade-old tabloid gossip. Look at the timeline. Things between J-Lo and Ben took a sharp nosedive right after federal agents raided Diddy's properties. Suddenly, their joint appearances stopped. She started hitting the red carpet solo, and their body language totally off. And to top it off, they're no longer married. Despite J-Lo's years of keeping a poised and polished public image, these court documents paint a very different story. This isn't some lighthearted romantic comedy. If even a fraction of these allegations hold water, we're staring down a serious criminal case. Speaking of legal drama, it's no shock that J-Lo has seemingly vanished from the spotlight amid all this chaos. But where is she really? Cassie's testimony might give us a clue. She says every day felt darker under Diddy's control. According to Cassie, he wanted to own her completely, footing the bill for everything from her phone to her house and car, and he'd take it all away as punishment whenever he felt like it. Control was absolute, right down to what she wore and worked on. But that grip quickly turned violent. In court, Cassie broke down, tearfully recounting how Diddy would kick, drag, and knock her over. She described black eyes, swollen lips, and bruises on her forehead. What started as unsettling quickly spiraled into something truly terrifying. As prosecutors began digging into the freak-off parties, Cassie's testimony took a darker turn. She revealed that in the first year of their relationship, Diddy introduced her to these twisted gatherings. Allegedly, he hired strippers and male escorts to engage with her while he watched, sometimes for days on end. This wasn't a one-time thing. Some of these horrifying events stretched up to 4 days straight.
She said they were so exhausting, she needed a recovery period from uses of drugs and the physical exhaustion of the activities at play.
Cassie opened up about how, at first, she went along with it to please Diddy, but it quickly took a toll on her self-worth. Breaking down on the stand, she confessed, "I felt fairly bad about myself. I felt useless as a result." To cope, she turned to a cocktail of drugs, ketamine, ecstasy, weed, and more, just to disconnect from the nightmare unfolding around her. She described being ordered to find men, escorts, strippers, dancers, through Craigslist and similar sites, instructed by Diddy himself.
Said that Sean Combs directed everything from what she had on, to the lighting in the room, to how she was supposed to interact with the person that she was having sex with. And again, just to reiterate what is a freak-off, the freak-off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism, wanting to watch her have sex with someone else. And she said that she did it because she was 22, 21. She was young. She didn't know any better, and that she wanted to please Sean Combs.
And at some point in time, she actually had said that she looked forward to the freak-offs. Why did Cassie express looking forward to these said freak-offs?
When the prosecution asked her, was there ever a time that you enjoyed the freak-offs? This is when Cassie got choked up, and she said, "I did, but only because I got to spend one-on-one time with Combs."
Here's where J-Lo re-enters the story. There's no way she could have been in the dark about this twisted pattern. After all, she was with Diddy during some of his darkest, most chaotic moments. She'd seen this side of him firsthand. Rumors swirl that she's terrified of being subpoenaed, going to great lengths to dodge that call. Some say she even fled to a country without an extradition treaty, just in case things exploded legally. And honestly, with how things are shaping up, it's becoming clearer by the day. Diddy's taking a serious fall, and she might be dragged down with him. With the mounting evidence against Diddy, J-Lo's time in the spotlight might be slipping. 2, if federal investigators start digging into the guest lists and records, she could be next. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think J-Lo has been quietly helping Diddy all along, or is she just caught in the crossfire? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This story is way too juicy to hold back. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, and smash the like button so you won't miss the next explosive update. Trust me, in the Diddy saga, nobody's safe, and predicting who falls next is anyone's guess.